The girl winced, covering her eye with a pained cry. "Get it off." The paramedics quickly asked what was wrong, and as she lowered her left hand, their faces tightened. A fishhook dangled from her eyelid. Her father, looking distressed, explained, "I just slipped away for a minute," and she started screaming. Brett told the girl not to be afraid and to lie down on that bench nice and slow. The girl hesitantly moved her hand away again. They had to immobilize that lure before transported her. After careful observation, Mikami thought she could detach the hook from the lure there. Brett nodded in agreement. Turning to the girl, Brett smiled gently, "This won't hurt if you stay very still, okay?" She squeezed the girl's hand in reassurance. Mikami, with practiced precision, cut the fishing line cleanly. But they weren't done yet. They had to keep both eyes from moving to avoid disturbing the injured one. "We need to cover your other eye too," Brett explained softly. Trusting her completely, the girl obediently closed her eye. Brett quickly fashioned a gauze pad securing the hook, while Mikami layered it with bandages. Together, they helped the girl to her feet and prepared her for the trip to the hospital. The entire family was allergic to bees, but the girl and her mother found themselves trapped in a car with 22 million killer bees. They got caught in a traffic accident, blocked by a truck loaded with beehives. The collision caused the hives to smash open, sending frightened bees swarming everywhere. The truck driver rushed over for help, but his sudden appearance terrified the already panicked mother and daughter, who screamed. Within moments, the unfortunate driver was stung until he lost consciousness. As the number of bees grew, the mother quickly called 911. Thankfully, dispatcher Maddie was there to keep them calm. The mother took out an EpiPen, but things took a sudden turn when the bees began entering the car through the air vent. Just as she was about to close it, she noticed 3 bees heading straight for her daughter. Maddie advised them to stay still, but a bee landed on the girl's face, crawling dangerously close to her eye.
"Go away, stupid bee! Brave up! No!"
In fear, the girl swatted at it, leaving the stinger embedded in her skin. As the venom spread, she struggled to breathe due to her allergy. In desperation, her mother injected the EpiPen into her thigh just in time, and the girl immediately felt relief. However, their relief was short-lived. The mother was stung in the neck. However, they only had 1 dose of AB. As she began experiencing symptoms of anaphylaxis, the mother used the last of her strength to cut the EpiPen in half and extract the needle. Following Maddie's instructions, the daughter frantically injected what was left of the medication into her mother, saving her just in time. Their ordeal wasn't over. When the firefighters arrived, the truck driver had no pulse, and the mother and daughter's car was covered in bees. People who hadn't escaped were severely stung, swelling up from the attacks. As the rescue mission began, the CO2 canister malfunctioned. Bees had blocked the pipe, preventing it from working. To make matters worse, the truck's fuel tank ignited. As the firefighters worked to put out the flames, Buck used a blower to direct smoke at the swarm. The smoke helped scatter the bees, and the mother and daughter were finally freed from the car, embracing each other in relief. Unfortunately, the swollen man wasn't as lucky. Medics found his airway obstructed, and when they opened his mouth, a bee flew out, followed by more clinging to his tongue. They used suction to remove the bees, and the man eventually revived. Just as they thought the chaos was over, a loud noise signaled the bees were swarming again, forming a massive bee NATO heading toward the city. As night fell, the bees vanished from radar, settling in as temperatures dropped. By chance, they gathered at a venue where a luxury perfume launch was set to take place the next day. When the perfume was sprayed, the bees were drawn to the scent, swarming into the tent and causing havoc. People scattered in every direction, but the assistant, doused in perfume, became the primary target. Desperate, she jumped into a swimming pool, but was still stung as soon as she surfaced. Another woman quickly called 911, while the assistant clung to a hose waiting for rescue. Buck realized the bees were attracted to floral scents, and nominated Eddie, the fastest runner, to be sprayed with perfume as bait. With the bees chasing Eddie, they were able to treat the assistant, who had been stung all over. Hen used duct tape to remove the stingers from the assistant's body and stabilized her condition. Meanwhile, Eddie was covered in bees, essentially becoming a walking beehive. A bee expert arrived just in time to vacuum the bees off of him, preventing any further injuries. But the swarm wasn't done. As they took to the skies again, a small plane flew into the path of the bees. The pilot, realizing too late that it wasn't a cloud but a swarm, was stung as the bees entered the cockpit through the vent. The plane began spiraling out of control. At the same time, Sergeant Grant was escorting a murder suspect on a commercial flight. As she prepared to ensure the LAPD was ready at their destination, the plane experienced a sudden malfunction. A boy named Nathan had been secretly practicing driving a backhoe loader at an empty construction site when it suddenly flipped over. Firefighter Severide, who was jogging nearby, spotted the scene and immediately rushed over. Nathan was trapped inside with a metal bar piercing his forearm. Severide carefully pulled the bar out, but blood began spurting everywhere. The bar had severed an artery. Severide managed to pinch the artery to stop the bleeding, but the situation became critical. He couldn't leave or let go, and he didn't have his phone since it was back in his car. Severide asked Nathan if he had a phone.
It's in my backpack.
But Nathan's backpack was outside on the ground. Severide instructed Nathan to pinch the artery himself while he went to retrieve the phone. However, when he found the backpack and pulled out the phone, it was already crushed. 2 hours passed when a pickup truck drove by. Severide shouted for help, but the driver didn't hear him. He told Nathan to hold the artery again while he ran after the truck, but it was too far gone. Returning to the backhoe, Severide found that Nathan had passed out. As he tried to wake him, the metal frame hanging off the vehicle suddenly fell, pinning Severide's leg. Trapped and facing a worsening situation, Severide refused to give up. He rummaged through Nathan's backpack and found a binder clip which he used to clamp the ruptured artery. His hands were now free, but his leg was still trapped. As night fell, Severide attempted to start the backhoe but couldn't find the key. Nathan, regaining consciousness, briefly told him how to bypass the key by using a screwdriver to bridge 2 contacts. The screwdriver was on the dashboard, but Severide couldn't reach it. He struggled all night, finally giving up. As dawn approached, Nathan was unconscious again. In a last-ditch effort, Severide remembered something from the backpack, a thick book with a metal spine. He removed a strip of metal from the spine and used it to connect the 2 contacts, starting the backhoe. Severide controlled the machine's arm, lifting the vehicle and righting it. Just then, Shay, who had come searching for Severide, arrived at the scene. Nathan was rushed to the hospital, and after intensive care, he survived. Severide, exhausted, opened his eyes to see Nathan safe and sound. He smiled, relieved that everything he'd endured had been worth it.
Guys,
What is it?
I think I just stepped on a landmine.
It could be a blast mine, bounding, frag. Guys, if he stepped on one of those, it's over.
Coming out there, Lou.
No, you can't have 2 men downrange, Spike.
Following your footsteps, buddy. Keep your foot still, okay?
Yeah.
Here we go. Let's see what we're looking at.
Spike, what do you see?
It's a bounding mine. It's a CR-38.
I think you should just get out of here, Spike.
Doesn't change a thing, man. Not a single thing.
Spike.
Shut up. I'm getting you out of here. We're all going home today.
Can Spike defuse it?
It's a 38.
Maybe he can repin it.
Status report. Spike.
He glued it. He glued the hole. No, there's a way. There's always a way. Water. We'll do a weight transfer.
Okay, water, we'll do it.
I'm gonna see you in a bit, okay?
Dad, Mom there? Just want to say I love you guys. Okay, just till I was thinking about her, okay? Spike,
Yeah, buddy.
it's gonna be okay.
Let me know if anything makes you feel uncomfortable, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Mr. Cray.
Reverend Cray, actually.
How old is Lindsay?
14.
Okay, we'll just figure out what's going on here first and take it from there.
Her last pregnancy, she'd get sick like this, but not with all this blood.
Last pregnancy?
She'd had what they called a spontaneous miscarriage.
You can come outside. There's a waiting area. We'll give your daughter a little more privacy.
My daughter. Lindsay's my wife.
That guy and a 14-year-old girl?
Her father gave his consent, and a judge signed off on it.
Everything okay with her?
Gynecologist found a tumor growing within the tissue that would have become the placenta. It is, I'm afraid, malignant. It's called a choriocarcinoma. I have cancer?
See, first she comes in here, talks chemo. Next, she's scheming to remove your womb altogether. Only thing we need from you now, doctor, is to get Lindsay discharged.
No, I want a hysterectomy.
A hysterectomy is really not necessary at this point.
You don't understand. I don't want to bring a kid into this world.